Danjuma, whose real name was Fansho Jimo, was a complex individual with a troubled past. Born to Togolese parents, he had grown up in a world where social relationships came easily to him. However, beneath his affable exterior, Danjuma harbored deep-seated insecurities and a burning desire for protection. As a young man, Danjuma had never intended to join a cult group. He was, by all accounts, a sociable person who got along well with those around him. However, his life took a dramatic turn when he became the target of relentless bullying by a member of the Black Axe Confraternity, known only as Sammy. Sammy's cruel antics knew no bounds. He would frequently track Danjuma down to his workplace, subjecting him to humiliating public beatings and verbal abuse. The emotional toll of these encounters was immense, leaving Danjuma feeling vulnerable and powerless. One day, Danjuma reached his breaking point. The constant fear of being attacked, the humiliation, and the feeling of being an easy target all took their toll. Seeking a way out of this desperate situation, Danjuma made the fateful decision to join the Air Lord Confraternity in 2011. As he became an Air Lord, Danjuma vowed to never again be a helpless victim of Sammy's assaults. He was determined to rise above his tormentor and prove that he would no longer be intimidated. A burning desire for revenge fueled his actions, and he made a solemn promise to himself to bring Sammy down if he ever dared to attack him again. This transformation was not an easy one for Danjuma. He had to navigate the complex and often treacherous world of court politics, all while trying to maintain a sense of normalcy in his life. The Air Lords, with their strict hierarchy and code of conduct, offered Danjuma a sense of belonging and protection that he had been lacking. However, this newfound sense of security came at a steep price. Danjuma was now embroiled in a world of violence and intimidation, where loyalty was tested and allegiances were forged in blood. As he rose through the ranks of the Air Lords, Danjuma found himself increasingly entrenched in this lifestyle, forever changed by the experiences that had driven him to join in the first place. The memory of Sammy's cruel face and the sound of his mocking laughter continued to haunt Danjuma, fueling his desire for revenge and propelling him deeper into the world of cultism. This was a path from which there was no return, a journey that would forever alter the course of Danjuma's life. Danjuma's life as an Air Lord was a far cry from the carefree days of his youth. The organization's initiation rituals and code of conduct had drawn him in, but it was the promise of power and protection that kept him entrenched. As he became more deeply embroiled in the Air Lord's activities, Danjuma found himself introduced to a world of armed robbery and other illicit pursuits. His exploits soon earned him notoriety in Abeokuta, with whispers of his name spreading like wildfire through the streets. The once vulnerable Danjuma had transformed into an intimidator, feared by those who crossed his path. He was no longer the prey, but the predator, always on the prowl for his next target. As his reputation grew, so did the attention from law enforcement. The police launched a manhunt for Danjuma, but he consistently managed to stay one step ahead. His cunning and resourcefulness had earned him a spot among the most wanted criminals in the city. Despite the risks, Danjuma's star continued to rise within the Air Lords. In 2024, he achieved the esteemed position of assistant leader in his area of operation. This newfound status brought with it increased responsibility and respect from his peers. However, the world of cultism is often marked by violence and power struggles. In June 2024, tensions between the Air Lords and the Buccaneers boiled over into a brutal confrontation. The fight began at a party, where the two groups clashed in a frenzy of fists and firearms. In the heat of the moment, one of the Air Lords fell victim to the Buccaneers' gunfire. Danjuma and his squad were consumed by rage and a desire for revenge. They scoured the streets, determined to track down the attackers and exact retribution. Though the Buccaneers had vanished into the night, Danjuma's thirst for vengeance remained unquenched. The memory of his fallen brother lingered, fueling his anger and resolve. As the days passed, Danjuma became increasingly fixated on finding the Buccaneers and bringing them to justice. This singular focus had become an all-consuming force in Danjuma's life, driving him to push the boundaries of what was acceptable in his quest for revenge. The lines between loyalty, honor, and morality had grown increasingly blurred, leaving Danjuma to navigate a treacherous landscape of violence and retribution. As the conflict between the Air Lords and Buccaneers continued to escalate, Danjuma found himself at the center of the maelstrom. His actions would have far-reaching consequences, shaping the fate of those around him and forever altering the dynamics of the cult world in Abeokuta. Danjuma's life as an airlord was marked by a series of violent confrontations and brushes with the law. Not long after the Buccaneers' attack, Danjuma and his squad found themselves facing off against the Black Axe. The encounter turned deadly, and Danjuma suffered a grievous injury. The pain and anger that followed fueled Danjuma's desire for revenge. He became fixated on tracking down a Black Axe member known as Lebe, determined to bring him to justice. In a fit of rage, Danjuma eventually caught up with Lebe and overpowered him. However, this act of vengeance came at a cost. Danjuma's involvement in various criminal activities, including the alleged elimination of a woman named Mary, had not gone unnoticed. The police had declared him wanted, forcing Danjuma to live in hiding, always looking over his shoulder. Despite the chaos and violence that surrounded him, Danjuma was also a family man. He was married to a young woman named Eiye, and their relationship was marked by turmoil. The couple's marriage was often described as toxic, with frequent arguments and physical altercations. According to reports, Danjuma's behavior towards his wife was often controlling and abusive. The couple's disagreements would escalate into full-blown fights, leaving Eiye feeling trapped and helpless. Despite the tension, the couple initially lived together with Danjuma's parents. However, as the situation became increasingly unbearable, Eiye made the decision to rent a house at a different location. Danjuma, despite his own personal demands, provided some financial assistance to help his wife secure a new place to live. This gesture, however, did little to alleviate the underlying issues that plagued their relationship. The couple's problems ran deep, and it seemed that no amount of effort could salvage their troubled marriage. As Danjuma continued to evade the law and navigate the complex world of cultism, his personal life remained a source of concern and turmoil. The contrast between Danjuma's life as a feared airlord and his struggles as a husband and family man was striking. While he commanded respect and fear from his peers, his personal relationships were marked by conflict and pain. This dichotomy would ultimately prove to be a defining aspect of Danjuma's story, as he struggled to reconcile his dual identities and find a sense of peace in a world marked by violence and chaos. Danjuma's life as a fugitive had taken a toll on his personal relationships. Despite living with his wife in their new home, he was rarely present, always on the run from the police and rival cultists. The uncertainty of his whereabouts had become a constant source of stress for his wife, who often went months without seeing him. The couple's life together was marked by long periods of separation, punctuated by unexpected visits from Danjuma. His wife had grown accustomed to this unpredictable lifestyle, but the strain was beginning to show. According to local sources, she had started to seek comfort in the company of another man, who would often visit her at their home. The rumors of her alleged infidelity eventually reached Danjuma's ears, sparking a mix of emotions within him. Anger, hurt, and betrayal all swirled together, creating a toxic cocktail that would ultimately prove fatal. Determined to confront his wife about the rumors, Danjuma made an unexpected appearance at their home. The encounter quickly escalated into a heated argument, with both parties exchanging blows. The fight was intense, with Danjuma sustaining serious injuries. In a tragic turn of events, Danjuma's wife took him to the hospital, but it was already too late. The injuries he had sustained proved fatal, and Danjuma was pronounced dead. The circumstances surrounding Danjuma's death were nothing short of ironic. A man who had built a reputation as a formidable cultist and strongman had ultimately met his demise at the hands of his own wife. The contrast between his public persona and private life was stark, highlighting the complexities and contradictions that often define human relationships. As news of Danjuma's death spread, it sparked a mixture of reactions from those who knew him. Some were shocked and saddened by the loss of a life, while others saw it as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked emotions and the consequences of a life marked by violence and chaos. The story of Danjuma's life and death serves as a poignant reminder that even the strongest among us can be vulnerable to the whims of fate and the complexities of human relationships. Despite his tough exterior, Danjuma had been unable to escape the troubles that plagued his personal life, and it was ultimately his own wife who would prove to be his undoing.